The sun of Aurelian Prime had just started its slow descent, painting the sky with shades of gold, violet, and soft pink. From the highest balcony of the stellar palace, Queen Seraphine gazed across the palace gardens, which shimmered with flowers that glowed softly in the fading sunlight. The palace was known across the galaxy for its elegance, with tall spires, reflective domes, and crystal bridges that seemed to float in the air. But today, Seraphine's attention was drawn to something unusual not in the palace itself, but in the courtyard below. A man was walking among the gardens. He moved slowly, yet with a quiet confidence. His steps were careful, almost deliberate, as though he were absorbing every detail around him. His clothes were simple by Aurelian standards, yet neat and clean. He had a curious expression, one that seemed to take in both the beauty and the complexity of the palace with equal admiration. "Lyriel," the queen called, her voice calm but carrying a note of curiosity. "Who is that?" Princess Lyriel, standing beside her mother, felt a small flutter of nervousness. She had expected this question to come someday, but never quite like this so directly. And with her mother's full attention, she turned slightly to glance at the figure in the garden. The man was bending down to observe a small flower that glimmered under the last rays of sunlight. Seemingly fascinated by its colors, "That is the man I married," Lyriel said, her voice quiet but firm. The queen's eyes widened slightly, and she raised one eyebrow, a gesture that always conveyed both surprise and authority. "Married?" she repeated, softly but clearly, as if tasting the word. "You are still very young, Lyriel, and I have not been told of this arrangement. Explain." Lyriel took a deep breath, feeling the weight of both truth and the delicate etiquette of the palace. "He is human," she began carefully. "His name is Ethan Hale, and he came to Aurelian Prime as part of a special project from the Galactic Concord. He helped us solve a problem that could have affected many star systems." The queen leaned forward, her long robes swaying like liquid starlight around her. "I have heard of humans," she said thoughtfully. "Their planet is distant, yet their reputation has begun to reach even the far corners of the Concord. But tell me, Lyriel, why marriage? Why did you not consult me?" Lyriel stepped closer to her mother. Her fingers rested lightly on the balcony railing, though her heart was racing. "It was not to hide it from you, mother, but it was difficult to explain. Our union is based on respect, understanding, and mutual care. He is not a political ally or a noble from another planet. He is simply human, and his qualities are rare even among the stars." The queen remained silent, studying her daughter carefully. The courtyard below glimmered as Ethan walked slowly past a small fountain. Water droplets caught the light like tiny stars falling from the sky. He paused to watch them, fascinated by the way the liquid formed patterns before returning to the pool below. There was a sense of wonder in him, as if he saw everything for the first time yet at the same time. A quiet confidence that suggested he was comfortable in unfamiliar places. Lyriel continued, "He does not come from wealth or power, mother, but he has done things that no one else could. His ideas helped stabilize energy flows across the sector. Entire colonies depended on his solutions. But more than that, he has a kindness that is rare. He treats everyone with respect, listens carefully, and tries to understand before acting. I could not help but admire him." The queen's gaze softened slightly, though her expression remained thoughtful. "I see," she said after a pause. "You admire him, but marriage, it is a binding choice. It carries responsibility not only to yourself but to your family and your people. Tell me, Lyriel, does he understand these responsibilities?" Lyriel nodded. "He does, and he has accepted them with humility. I know humans are different from us, but Ethan has shown a strength that is remarkable, not in battles or politics, but in his ability to face challenges and find solutions where others would fail. He brings hope and creativity, mother. That is what I see in him." For a moment, silence hung between them, broken only by the soft rustling of the palace gardens. Then the queen spoke, her voice calmer now, almost curious. "Let us meet him. I wish to see this human who has captured my daughter's trust and heart." Lyriel's heart lifted slightly. She had been worried that her mother might reject the idea outright. But there was a spark of interest in the queen's eyes, a willingness to understand before judging. "He is in the courtyard, mother. I can bring him up to the palace." The queen nodded. "Very well. Let us see what makes this human worthy of a princess." Lyriel quickly made her way down the marble steps of the palace, the cool stone beneath her feet reflecting the fading light. She reached the courtyard where Ethan stood, still observing the glowing flowers near the fountain. He noticed her approach and turned, offering a warm smile. His eyes were bright, curious, and open, a kind of sincerity that immediately put people at ease. "Ethan," Lyriel said softly, "Mother would like to meet you." Ethan straightened, a mixture of excitement and respect on his face. "Of course, Your Highness," he replied, bowing slightly, though not in an overly formal way. It was a gesture that was human, polite, yet genuine. Lyriel took his hand gently and led him toward the grand doors of the palace. "Mother," she said as they entered, "this is the man I told you about." Queen Serafini was standing in the main hall, her robes flowing like liquid light around her. She looked Ethan over carefully. "Welcome to the Stellar Palace, Ethan Hale," she said. "I have heard of humans, but I do not know many personally. Tell me, what brings you to Aurelian Prime beyond your work for the Concord?" Ethan took a deep breath and spoke simply. "I came because I wanted to understand the galaxy better, Your Majesty. I wanted to see its beauty, learn from its people, and contribute in whatever way I could. I never imagined I would meet Princess Lyriel or that she would allow me to share ideas with her, and, eventually, share her life." He hesitated, then smiled softly. "It was never my intention to surprise you, Queen Serafini. I hope you will judge me kindly." The queen regarded him silently for a long moment. There was no hostility in her gaze, only careful observation. "I can see that you are different from the stories we hear. You are not arrogant, nor do you seem driven by selfish ambition. You are thoughtful, observant. I will admit, humans often surprise me." Ethan bowed slightly again. "Thank you, Your Majesty." The queen nodded slowly, then glanced at her daughter. "Lyriel," she said, her voice softer now, "it seems you have chosen wisely. But the road ahead may be difficult. Your union brings together not only to hearts, but to worlds. Are you prepared for that responsibility?" Lyriel smiled. "I am, Mother. And so is he." The queen finally allowed herself a small smile, a gesture rare and precious. "Then let us walk through the gardens together. I want to hear how he thinks, how he sees the universe. Perhaps I will learn something from him, too." As they walked toward the glowing gardens, Ethan and Lyriel side by side, Queen Serafini observed quietly. The man's presence was unassuming, yet somehow commanding in its simplicity. His curiosity, kindness, and calm determination stood out against the backdrop of the palace's grandeur. And for the first time, the queen felt a spark of hope, a hope that humans, despite their differences, might teach even a queen something important about courage, ingenuity, and heart. The sun continued to sink behind distant mountains, casting long shadows across the palace gardens. The fountains sparkled like stars, and flowers glowed softly in response to the fading light. It was a peaceful moment, one of quiet understanding, of curiosity met with trust, and of a future yet unwritten, a future where human ingenuity might become a beacon in the galaxy. And somewhere, in the quiet corner of her mind, Queen Serafini realized that this simple human, with his humble ways and bright mind, might not only win her daughter's heart, but also leave a lasting mark on the worlds around him. The next morning, the palace was alive with soft sunlight that spilled across marble halls and crystal windows. Birds with glittering feathers sang in the gardens below, their songs blending with the quiet hum of distant starships docked near the palace landing pads. In the main hall, Princess Lyriel walked beside Ethan, who still looked slightly overwhelmed by the grandeur of the stellar palace. "Do not be nervous," Lyriel said with a small laugh. "My mother is careful with her words, but she listens well. She wants to understand before judging." Ethan nodded, adjusting his simple clothes that contrasted sharply with the shimmering robes and metallic accents of the palace attendants. "I will try my best, Princess, it is. Unlike anything I've experienced, Lyriel smiled. That is why I think you are perfect for this moment. At the same time, Queen Serafini prepared for the formal introduction. She had spent the early morning reviewing records of humans and their accomplishments. They were a young species by galactic standards, yet their energy, creativity, and resilience fascinated her. Stories of human problem-solving had reached even the most distant star systems, and she wanted to see it for herself, not in reports or holotapes, but in person. The Queen descended into the main hall where Ethan and Lyriel were waiting. Her presence was like calm sunlight, warm yet commanding. She regarded Ethan carefully, noting his posture, his calm eyes, and the way he seemed genuinely curious about everything around him. "Ethan Hale," she began, her voice steady but polite. "You are known across the Concord for your work, but now you are here, not just as a human engineer, but as my daughter's husband. Tell me, what do you see in our world?" Ethan took a breath, choosing his words with care. "I see beauty, Your Majesty, and I see possibilities. Your palace, your people, even the way you manage the Concord. There is so much that inspires new ideas. I may come from a different planet, but I want to learn, understand, and help wherever I can." The Queen's gaze softened slightly. Many humans are ambitious, yet self-centered. They often seek recognition rather than solutions. "Why should I trust you are different?" Ethan paused, considering the question. "Because I measure success by the good I can do for others, not for myself. When I worked on the energy project, it was not for fame or rewards. Entire colonies depended on the system, and failing was not an option. I had to think differently, creatively, and quickly. I had to work with people I barely knew and find ways to solve problems together." The Queen tilted her head, intrigued. "And did you succeed?" Ethan smiled humbly. "We did. And I did not do it alone. People from many species contributed. I learned from them, listened to them, and adapted. That is what humans do best. We can change, adjust, and try new ideas." Even in the most difficult situations, Lyriel watched him quietly, feeling pride mixed with admiration. She had seen Ethan at work, solving problems other species thought impossible. And now the Queen was seeing it too. It was one thing to know his accomplishments from afar. It was another to witness his calm confidence and genuine humility in person. Queen Serafini studied him for a few more moments, then turned her attention to her daughter. "Lyriel, tell me why you married him. Not for his work, but for himself. What is it about him that touches your heart?" Lyriel smiled softly. "Mother, it is everything he does and how he does it. He sees people, not their titles. He listens, even when others do not. And he is patient, kind, and clever. He makes me think differently, see differently, and hope differently. I could not help loving him for that." The Queen nodded slowly, processing her daughter's words. She had expected explanations about duty, politics, or strategy, but this was different. Love, respect, and shared vision, these were not things she could measure with records or charts. Yet they felt important. Ethan took a step forward, speaking again. "Your Majesty, I hope to contribute in ways that matter, not only to Princess Lyriel, but also to Aurelian Prime and the Concord. I may be human, but my heart and mind are fully committed to learning and helping. I want to honor the trust and the life Lyriel and I share." The Queen studied him for a long moment. There was honesty in his voice and a certain clarity in his expression that could not be faked. She could see that he had faced challenges before and had succeeded not through force, but through intelligence and patience. "You speak well," she said finally, "but words alone are not proof. Let me show you something, Ethan. Follow me." She led them through corridors that twisted like crystal rivers, reflecting sunlight and starlight alike. They emerged on a balcony that overlooked a vast field of energy collectors, shimmering like silver grass in the morning sun. Technicians of multiple species were working together, adjusting the panels and fine-tuning the system. "These collectors provide power for several nearby planets," the Queen explained. "We faced a problem last year when a storm disrupted the energy flow. Many engineers tried to fix it, but only your methods worked. Tell me, human, how did you approach the problem?" Ethan looked carefully at the field, observing how the collectors moved and pulsed with energy. I studied the problem from every angle, he explained. I asked questions, observed patterns, and tested small changes before making large adjustments. I worked with every species involved, not assuming my way was the only way. And when one solution failed, I tried another. Persistence and cooperation were more important than a single correct answer. The Queen's eyes widened slightly. Impressive, she said. That is, not typical of your species, or of many engineers in general. Humans have creativity, yes, but often fail to see larger systems. You adapted, Ethan nodded. That is the human way, Your Majesty. We learn quickly from mistakes and adjust. It is not always easy, but it works when you have to solve problems that affect others. Lyriel squeezed his hand lightly, smiling. I saw this every day, Mother. He inspires people to work together. And that is why I married him, not just because he is clever, but because he brings hope and cooperation wherever he goes. The Queen remained silent for a long time, her eyes scanning Ethan and Lyriel. She thought of the responsibilities she carried, the history of the Aurelian royal family, and the delicate politics of the Concord. And yet, in that moment, she could see a rare quality. The human had no pretense, only genuine intention. Finally, she spoke, her voice firm but warm. Ethan Hale, you have proven your worth not only through work, but also through character. I see why my daughter admires you, and I will do my best to understand your ways. But know this, life here is complex. You will face expectations and challenges unlike anything on Earth. Are you prepared? Ethan looked toward Lyriel, then back at the Queen. Yes, Your Majesty. I may not know everything, but I'm ready to learn and grow. With Lyriel by my side, I feel stronger than I ever have before. The Queen studied him one last time, then nodded slowly. Very well. We will begin with a tour of the palace and the Concord's central archives. You may find much to learn, and perhaps teach as well. Lyriel's eyes lit up with excitement. Mother, he has already taught me so much about patience, curiosity, and seeing possibilities where others see walls. I know he will teach more. Ethan smiled, a little embarrassed by the praise, but pleased nonetheless. I only hope to contribute, Princess, and to make life better for everyone I can. As they walked through the palace halls, the Queen began to ask questions, not tests, but real curiosity. Tell me, Ethan, how do humans solve problems when nothing seems to work? How do you inspire others to follow your ideas? Ethan thought carefully. We focus on understanding first. Every person, every system, every problem has details you must notice. Then we try small changes, test ideas quickly, and adapt. We share ideas freely and listen to everyone. It is not about one person being right. It is about solving the problem together. The Queen's expression softened. I see now why Lyriel trusts you. Your mind is open, yet disciplined. Your heart is steady, yet kind. That combination is rare in the galaxy. Lyriel felt a rush of pride. She had long known Ethan was special, but hearing her mother acknowledge it aloud made her heart warm. For the first time, Ethan felt that he truly belonged in this world, not because of his work, nor because of his marriage, but because his way of thinking, human curiosity, patience, and cooperation was valued. He realized that perhaps humans had something unique to offer the galaxy, something beyond technology or strength, a mindset that could bring together species, ideas, and hearts in ways that no one expected. And in that moment, walking beside the princess and under the careful gaze of the Queen, Ethan felt that he was ready to face whatever adventures awaited in this new, vast, and brilliant world. The palace gardens shimmered in the morning light, the colors of the exotic flowers reflecting in the crystal fountains. Princess Lyriel led Ethan along one of the narrow marble paths that curved through glowing orchids and shimmering trees. He moved slowly, taking in the beauty around him, his eyes wide with curiosity. Do you know? Lyriel began softly. When I first met you, I didn't know what to think. Ethan glanced at her, smiling slightly. Really? I thought you were always confident around me. Lyriel laughed lightly. Confident, yes, but cautious. 2. You see, I grew up here, surrounded by the politics and expectations of the royal family. Everyone has a role, and every action has a purpose. Humans are different. They don't follow the same rules. At first, I wasn't sure I could understand that difference. Ethan nodded. I had no idea what to expect either. I was walking into a world of stars, palace rules, and species I had only read about. But somehow, we found each other, didn't we? Lyriel smiled, remembering the moment vividly. It had been during a Concord project where engineers and diplomats from multiple worlds gathered to solve a sector-wide energy problem. The project required collaboration, creativity, and patience. Many delegates had strong opinions and were unwilling to listen. The entire situation was tense and delicate, and Lyriel had been observing quietly. And then Ethan appeared, unlike others who rushed to argue or assert authority. Ethan had listened first. He asked questions, not to challenge, but to understand. He watched carefully, took notes, and even tried small experiments to test ideas before proposing a solution. His approach was different, refreshing, and remarkably effective. Lyriel had been impressed immediately. But it wasn't just his intelligence that drew her attention, it was his attitude. He treated everyone with respect, regardless of rank, species, or background. He never dismissed ideas, even the smallest suggestions from junior assistants. In a room full of pride and competition, Ethan's humility was a rare light. She recalled one particular day during the project. The energy field had failed unexpectedly, and tension filled the room. Delegates were shouting, blaming each other, and growing frustrated. Lyriel had felt the panic rising, unsure how they would meet the deadline. Ethan had stepped forward, calmly observing the situation. "Let's slow down," he had said. "If we test small adjustments one by one, we can find the problem without creating new errors." No one had listened at first, but gradually, his patience and logic persuaded the group to follow his plan. Step by step, the system stabilized, and the energy field returned to full function. Lyriel had watched in awe not just at his solution, but at how he had inspired cooperation in a room filled with doubt. It was then she realized that he was more than clever, he was human in the way humans could be. They combined curiosity, persistence, and empathy in a way that bridged gaps between worlds. "You see," Lyriel said now, walking beside him in the gardens, "it wasn't just that you solved the problem. It was how you solved it. You made people trust you and even follow your ideas without forcing them. That was remarkable." Ethan looked at her, his eyes softening. "I didn't think it was remarkable. I was just trying to help." "That is exactly what makes it remarkable," she said, smiling. "You don't do things for recognition. You do them because they matter. That is rare, Ethan. I had never met anyone like you before." They walked in silence for a moment, listening to the soft hum of the fountains and the distant songs of birds. Then Lyriel continued, "And then there were the smaller things. How you treated the technicians, the way you asked questions, your curiosity about our plants, our architecture. I noticed it all. Humans are full of small wonders, Ethan. You're proof of that." Ethan felt a warmth rise in his chest. "I suppose I never realized those small actions mattered so much." "They do," Lyriel replied. "In a world like this, where everything is planned, controlled, and observed, the small actions stand out. Your kindness, your patience, your ability to see possibility, those things mattered to me more than anything else. They made me want to know you better, and then want to trust you. And then," she paused, smiling, "want to love you." Ethan stopped walking, turning to face her fully. His expression was a mix of humility and quiet joy. "Lyriel," he said softly, "I never imagined someone from a royal family could see me for who I really am. And not just see me, but respect me, care for me, and love me. I don't know if I can ever express how much that means. You already have," she said, her eyes shining. "Every day. By being yourself, by teaching me to see differently, by showing me that even a human can change worlds not through force, but through thought and heart." They continued walking toward a small pavilion near the edge of the gardens. where sunlight streamed through transparent domes and lit the palace with soft brilliance. It was a quiet place, away from the attention of palace guards, diplomats, and attendants. Here, Lyriel could speak freely, and Ethan could simply be human. "I remember the first time we walked here," she said, looking around. "You were curious about everything. The fountains, the flowers, the colors. You asked questions that no one had asked before. And the way you noticed details I never even thought about. It was like seeing the world with new eyes. You changed the way I looked at everything." Ethan smiled, a little embarrassed. "I was just fascinated. Everything here is so different from Earth. I wanted to understand it, not just as a visitor, but as someone who cares." Lyriel took a deep breath. "And that is exactly why I married you. You care not for titles, not for power, not for wealth. You care for ideas, for people, and for the possibilities of life. That is rare in the galaxy, Ethan, and it is why my heart chose you." He reached out and held her hand gently. "Lyriel, I promise to continue learning, not only about your world, but about you. I will try to be worthy of the trust and love you have given me." She smiled softly. "You are already worthy. And it is not about being perfect, Ethan. It is about trying, learning, and growing. Humans do that well. That is why you inspire me and so many others." As they sat together in the pavilion, watching the sunlight dance on the crystal fountains, Lyriel thought about how much had changed since she met him. She had grown to admire him not only for his intelligence, but for his heart, his patience, and his ability to bring hope to everyone around him. She said, leaning slightly closer. "My friends at the palace thought I was strange for spending so much time with a human. They didn't understand him, but I did. I saw how he worked, how he thought, and how he cared. And I realized that humans, though small and young compared to our worlds, have a strength that is rare. Not physical strength, but strength of mind and heart. That strength, it captured my heart." Ethan looked at her, his expression tender. "Lyriel, that is the kindest thing anyone has ever said to me, and it makes me want to be the best human I can be for you, for your world, and for the Concord." Lyriel smiled, squeezing his hand. "You already are, Ethan, and that is why I chose you." They sat quietly for a while, listening to the hum of the fountains and the distant voices of palace attendants, preparing for the day. It was a peaceful moment, one of trust and understanding, where two hearts from different worlds shared a vision for the future. And in that moment, Lyriel understood something important. Humanity's greatest power was not in its technology, speed, or strength, but in its heart. Ethan had shown her that humans could inspire hope, unite people, and solve problems with creativity and empathy. It was a lesson she would carry with her for the rest of her life, and a lesson she would one day share with her people, so that the light of humanity might shine across the galaxy in ways no one had imagined. And Ethan, sitting beside her, knew that he had found not only a home in this alien world, but also a partnership that could change the future for two worlds, and perhaps more. The morning sunlight reflected on the fountains, casting sparkling lights across the gardens, and for the first time, both human and princess felt that anything was possible. Together, they could face the challenges of the galaxy not with force, but with heart, mind, and hope. The calm of the stellar palace was suddenly broken by a sharp alert from the Concord communication system. Lights flashed, and the hum of energy shifted in the palace corridors. Queen Seraphine, Princess Lyriel, and Ethan were in the study, reviewing plans for a new energy project that could improve life across several planets. "What is it?" Lyriel asked, her brow furrowed. A young aide rushed in, holding a translucent tablet that glowed with red warning signals. "Your Majesty, Princess, sir, there is an anomaly in the neighboring sector. The energy stabilization network is fluctuating unexpectedly. Colonies may face temporary blackouts if not corrected soon." Queen Seraphine's expression remained calm, though her eyes sharpened. "Show me the readings." The aide projected the holographic display into the air. Streams of energy lines twisted like ribbons, pulsing irregularly. Several smaller nodes were failing, and if the pattern continued, entire planetary grids would go offline within hours. "This is serious," the Queen said. Many species depend on this network. If we do not act quickly, the damage could be widespread. Ethan stepped forward, scanning the holographic display with curiosity rather than fear. I've seen patterns like this before, he said. It looks like a synchronization error between nodes. If we isolate the unstable nodes and create a temporary feedback loop, we can stabilize the system until the main repair teams arrive. Lyriel's eyes widened. Ethan, can it really be fixed that quickly? He nodded, his expression calm. We'll need precision and cooperation. But yes, humans work well under pressure, and we can adapt quickly. We just need to organize the teams and act fast. The Queen observed him quietly, noting the calm determination that had first impressed her. Very well, she said. You will lead the human and Aurelian engineers. Princess Lyriel, you will assist him in coordinating the teams. Time is of the essence. Within moments, Ethan and Lyriel were walking through the palace corridors toward the energy control room. The corridor walls gleamed with reflective surfaces, showing their determined expressions. Ethan could feel the tension in the air, but he remained focused. He understood that this was not about rank or species, it was about solving a problem that affected countless lives. Once inside the control room, he took charge. We'll divide the nodes into sections, he said, pointing at the holographic map. Team A will stabilize these nodes here, while Team B monitors fluctuations and prevents overloads. Lyriel, I'll need your help to coordinate communication between teams. She nodded. I've got it. I know our engineers well, and they trust you already. Over the next hour, the room became a hub of coordinated activity. Engineers of multiple species moved with precision, guided by Ethan's calm instructions. He asked questions, listened carefully, and suggested small adjustments to balance the energy streams. Every time a node flickered, Ethan analyzed the data and recommended a solution. Lyriel watched him closely, admiration growing with each passing moment. It wasn't just his technical skill that impressed her. It was the way he inspired trust. Even the most experienced engineers followed his advice willingly, confident in his judgment. This is incredible, she whispered to herself. Humans really do think differently. Suddenly, one of the main nodes began to spike dangerously. Alarms blared, and a red glow spread across the holographic map. Engineers froze, unsure of how to react. Ethan stepped forward calmly. Team A, isolate the node immediately. Team B, redirect energy to neighboring nodes. Lyriel, alert the secondary teams to prepare backup stabilization. The room moved like a single organism under his guidance. Every action was precise, every instruction clear. Slowly, the node stabilized, the red glow fading to a steady green. The engineers sighed in relief, some exchanging amazed glances. The Queen, observing from a remote console in the hall, allowed herself a small smile. Humans truly are remarkable, she murmured. Even in a crisis, they remain calm, adaptable, and innovative. Lyriel glanced at Ethan, her heart swelling with pride. I always knew you could do it, she said softly. Ethan smiled at her, his eyes warm. We did it together. None of this would work without your guidance and trust. For the next few hours, Ethan and Lyriel worked tirelessly, coordinating teams, monitoring energy flows, and solving smaller fluctuations before they could become larger problems. Time seemed to blur as they focused entirely on the task at hand. By the late afternoon, the energy network was fully stabilized. A collective cheer rose from the engineers, and Ethan allowed himself a small, exhausted smile. Lyriel placed a hand on his shoulder, feeling the weight of the moment and the shared triumph. Queen Serafini entered the control room quietly, her presence commanding attention even without words. She looked at Ethan, her eyes filled with both respect and curiosity. You handled that remarkably well, she said. Not just your mind, but your leadership. I can see why my daughter admires you. Ethan bowed his head respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what I thought was necessary. The Queen studied him for a long moment. It is not just necessary, it is exceptional. Humans bring a new perspective, a new strength to the galaxy. You are proof of that, Lyriel smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. I told you, Mother, she said softly. He is not just clever, he inspires hope. That is why I married him. The Queen nodded slowly, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the control room panels. You are both remarkable, she said, and perhaps together you will bring a new light to this galaxy later. In the quiet of the evening, Lyriel and Ethan walked through the palace gardens again. The fountain sparkled in the moonlight, casting reflections that danced like stars on the marble paths. I cannot believe how smoothly everything went today, Lyriel said, leaning slightly on Ethan's shoulder. You didn't panic once, Ethan chuckled softly. Humans are used to problems that can't be solved by strength alone. We think, adapt, and work together. Panic does not help anyone. Lyriel looked at him, her eyes full of admiration. You make it sound simple, but I know it wasn't. You were calm when others were afraid. You found solutions where others saw only chaos. That is why I trust you with my heart. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. And I trust you with mine. Your guidance, your understanding, your belief in me, it made everything possible today. Without you, I could not have done it. They walked in silence for a while. The only sounds the gentle splash of water and the soft hum of the night. Lyriel realized that this was more than just admiration or love, it was partnership. Together, they could face challenges that neither could face alone. In the days that followed, the story of Ethan's ingenuity spread quietly through the Concord. Leaders and engineers marveled at how a human had coordinated such a complex stabilization effort, earning the trust and respect of multiple species. For Lyriel, it was a confirmation of what she had always known. Humanity was extraordinary, not because of strength or technology, but because of heart, mind, and spirit. One evening, as the stars shone bright over the palace, Lyriel turned to Ethan. Do you know what impressed me the most? She asked softly. Ethan shook his head. What? It wasn't just that you fixed the energy network, she said. It was how you did it. You listened, observed, and inspired. You showed patience, kindness, and courage in the quietest moments. That is something no technology or power can replace. Ethan smiled, touched by her words. Lyriel, I only hope I can continue to live up to that. You already have, she replied. And together, we can face anything the galaxy sends our way. As they walked hand in hand under the starlight, Lyriel understood that this was a turning point not just in their lives, but for the galaxy itself. A human had shown that innovation, compassion, and courage could unite worlds, solve problems, and inspire hope. And for the first time, she realized that the future she had imagined, one of partnership, understanding, and shared vision, was not only possible, but already beginning. Ethan looked at the distant stars, feeling a sense of purpose and belonging he had never known before. He was no longer just a visitor from Earth. He was part of something greater, a journey that could change the galaxy, guided by heart, intelligence, and hope. And Lyriel, walking beside him, knew that together they could achieve anything. The morning sun rose over the stellar palace, casting golden rays across the crystal spires and marble paths. The gardens glimmered as fountains danced with sparkling water, and birds of many colors sang their gentle melodies. It was a quiet day, but one filled with significance. Today, the people of Aurelian Prime and the surrounding worlds would learn of a union that had already changed hearts and minds, the marriage of Princess Lyriel and Ethan Hale. Inside the palace, Queen Seraphine prepared for the public announcement. She had spent the previous weeks observing Ethan closely, watching how he treated the people, how he solved problems, and how he inspired those around him. It was clear that he was not only brilliant, but compassionate, patient, and humble. For a queen, that mattered more than any report or record. Lyriel entered the throne room. Walking beside Ethan, the couple moved with quiet confidence, knowing that the moment was not about ceremony alone, but about recognition, acknowledgement of their partnership, trust, and shared vision for the galaxy. Mother, Lyriel said softly, are you ready? Queen Seraphine smiled, a rare warmth in her eyes. Yes, my daughter. Today, the people will see what I have seen for some time. Humanity brings hope, courage, and new ways of thinking. And you, Ethan Hale, have shown that even a human can shine brightly among the stars. Ethan felt a mixture of nervousness and pride. He had never expected such recognition, nor had he imagined being welcomed into a royal family of another world. But Lyriel's hand in his, her calm smile, and the Queen's approving gaze gave him confidence. The doors of the throne room opened, and dignitaries, engineers, diplomats, and citizens from multiple planets gathered to witness the announcement. Their eyes followed Ethan as he walked beside the princess, curious and respectful. Humans were still relatively unknown in many corners of the galaxy, and this union symbolized more than love. It represented trust, cooperation, and a new beginning. Queen Serafini rose from her throne and spoke, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. People of Aurelian Prime, and friends from across the Concord, today we acknowledge a union that brings together not only hearts, but worlds. Princess Lyriel has chosen a partner who demonstrates wisdom, courage, and compassion, qualities that transcend species and distance. Ethan Hale, a human from Earth, has proven that even the smallest of species can shine brightly when guided by heart and mind. A gentle murmur of surprise and admiration spread across the crowd. Many had already heard stories of Ethan's ingenuity and humility, but hearing it confirmed by the Queen herself carried a weight that no report or message could match. Lyriel stepped forward. I know that some of you may have wondered why I married a human. He is different from anyone you have known, different from those who follow tradition or seek power. But he has qualities that are rare in the galaxy: kindness, patience, creativity, and courage. He has faced challenges not with force, but with understanding and heart. And he has earned my trust and love every day. Ethan looked at the audience, then at Lyriel. His voice was steady but warm as he spoke. I am honored to stand here today. I may come from a distant planet, and I may be different in ways you do not fully understand. But I promise to contribute to this galaxy with every skill, thought, and heart I have. Together with Lyriel, we will work to bring hope, understanding, and cooperation wherever we can. The Queen watched them quietly, her expression softening. She had seen many alliances, many partnerships, but few had this combination of heart and intellect. This union was not just a personal matter. It was a symbol of possibility, a new chapter for humanity and the stars. As the announcement concluded, the crowd erupted in applause. Some of the dignitaries whispered among themselves, amazed at the humans' calm leadership and vision. Many engineers nodded in approval, remembering the way Ethan had stabilized the energy network during the crisis. Humans might be young as a species, but their ingenuity was undeniable. Lyriel squeezed Ethan's hand, her eyes shining. See, they understand now. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. It is not about understanding, Lyriel. It is about showing that we can work together. That is what matters most. The day continued with a series of meetings and celebrations. Engineers, diplomats, and citizens came to speak with Ethan, eager to learn his perspective, ask questions, and share ideas. What struck him most was the openness of the people. They listened, they asked, and they tried to understand even when his methods were unfamiliar. Queen Serafini joined them in the afternoon, walking with Ethan and Lyriel through the palace gardens. I have seen much in my life, she said quietly, but what I see in you, Ethan, is rare. You combine intelligence with patience, creativity with humility, and courage with heart. You do not seek to dominate or control, you seek to understand and help. That is the mark of a true leader, no matter your species. Ethan felt humbled by her words. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only hope to continue learning and contributing. Lyriel's guidance has been invaluable, and I will strive to honor her trust and love every day. The Queen nodded. You have already honored them both, and perhaps that is what humanity can bring to the galaxy, a new way to solve problems, unite people, and inspire hope. As the day turned into evening, the palace glowed with soft lights and gentle music. Celebrations were modest, not extravagant, because the focus was not on wealth or spectacle, but on unity and appreciation. People from multiple planets shared stories, exchanged ideas, and marveled at how a human had become a symbol of collaboration and ingenuity. Lyriel and Ethan found a quiet spot in the gardens, overlooking a pond where luminous fish glided gracefully beneath the water. The stars reflected in the pond, shimmering like countless diamonds. You know, Lyriel said, leaning against Evan's shoulder, when I first met you, I never imagined this day. I never imagined that humanity could become part of our world in such a meaningful way. Ethan chuckled softly. Neither did I, only came here hoping to learn, to help, and perhaps make a difference. But being with you, seeing the impact we can make together, it is beyond anything I imagine. Lyriel smiled. And this is just the beginning. Together, we can face any challenge, explore any possibility, and help build a future that unites worlds. You have already shown that humans can inspire hope, courage, and cooperation. Imagine what we can do in the years ahead. Ethan looked at the distant stars, his eyes reflecting the light. I have imagined it, he said quietly, and now I know it is possible. The queen approached them, walking slowly through the garden paths. She paused, observing the couple. You have both grown through this journey, she said softly. Lyriel, you have chosen a partner not only for love, but for vision and courage. Ethan, you have proven that even the smallest species can shine brightly in the galaxy. Together, you represent a future of unity, understanding, and hope. Lyriel and Ethan both bowed respectfully. Thank you, Your Majesty, they said together. The Queen smiled. No, thank you. You remind me that greatness is not always in strength or rank, but in heart, mind, and determination. Today, the galaxy has witnessed something rare, two worlds joined by trust, love, and vision. As night fell, the palace became quiet again, the celebrations winding down. Lyriel and Ethan stood on the highest balcony, overlooking the twinkling lights of the city and the distant glow of starships. We did it, Lyriel whispered, leaning close to Ethan. No, he replied, smiling. We will keep doing it. Together, we can make a difference every day. That is what matters most. Lyriel nodded, feeling a deep sense of hope. And the people will see it too. Humanity will not be forgotten. They will see that even a small species can change the galaxy through courage, creativity, and heart. Ethan looked at her, eyes full of admiration and love. I only hope to live up to what they and you expect of me. You already have, Lyriel said, her voice gentle. And together, we will continue. This is only the beginning. The stars sparkled brightly above, each one a reminder of the endless possibilities waiting in the galaxy. Humanity had shown that it could rise to the occasion, inspire hope, and create bonds that transcended distance and difference. And with Lyriel by his side, Ethan knew that whatever challenges awaited, they could face them not with force, but with heart, mind, and cooperation. As the night deepened, the stellar palace glowed softly, a beacon of unity and hope. For the first time, both human and Aurelian could look at the future with confidence. Together, they had achieved something remarkable, not just the union of two hearts, but the promise of a brighter, shared future for all worlds. And in that moment, under the quiet brilliance of a million stars, humanity and love shone brighter than ever before.